Profile is presented by Ins Group, Insurance and Benefits. Today on Profile, John Wong, Head of School, Post Oak Montessori. So who is John Wong?
You know, I think I got involved with education just because I'm curious about things. Got married right after college, and Kathy and I went into Peace Corps together and served in Afghanistan for 2 years. And I was a teacher there, and was really touched by the experience and began to think about teaching as a career. And so I started reading everything that I could about teaching. So when we came back to the United States, Kathy's family's from Washington, D.C. We came back to Washington, D.C., and I answered an ad in the Washington Post for a classroom assistant at Capitol Hill Montessori School. And I didn't know anything about Montessori, but I went there. I spent 1 semester there working as an assistant in an elementary classroom, and I still didn't understand very much about Montessori, but I could see that it was very hands-on. The kids were really engaged in what they were doing, and so I was really intrigued by it. And the following year, there was a Montessori training center in D.C., and they were offering elementary teacher training for the first time in the United States. And so I ended up going and taking that course, and then I worked ended up going to South Bend, Indiana, starting a elementary program at a school there. After 3 years, moved to Cleveland. I stayed in Cleveland for 15 years, became the head of school there, worked with kids from 1st grade through 8th grade in the classroom over a long period of time. And in 1995, I was really starting to look for something different, you know, a different school, a different position, a different challenge to work with. And I got called by people from Post Oak because they were looking for a new head of school here. You know, I got off the phone from them and said, Texas, I don't know if I can do Texas. But we came to visit Houston, came to visit the school, and I really liked the people that I met. I liked the diversity that was here at the school. I liked the spirit of the city, the very the energy, the entrepreneurial spirit, so the can-do attitude of people that I met here, and you know, so we came and took this on, and so I've been here 15 years at this point.
You're head of school. Is it? What does head of school mean?
My role in many ways is to act as a bridge between all these different groups of people and parts of the school, the board, the faculty, the administration, the parents, the children, in trying to keep everybody heading in a common direction.
For someone that's new to Montessori or has not heard of Montessori, which was, quite frankly, me, okay, years ago, having grown up in public school, and how do you describe, what are those ideals? You know, what are the principles of Maria Montessori, the ones that you operate the school under, and that the students and the staff are working under every day?
Right, right. Well, let me turn that back around a little bit. And I mean, you're a parent here at the school. So, what are some of the things that you notice that are different?
Well, I don't know if I can really let you do that, but here.
Well, because what I'm doing right now is demonstrating a Montessori principle by turning it back to you. And you know, the root word education comes from the Latin, and it means drawing forth. It doesn't mean pouring in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so and Montessori is also very experiential, and so you've got experiences as a parent here at the school. You've made observations. You were here last night to be in the classroom, and he was able to show you the things that he was doing. So the place where I want to start in responding to your question is from what you already know and what you already observe. So what are the things that you see, that you observe?
You know, I think first and foremost, what I've really gravitated to with the school is the sense of individual initiative. You know, that our children can make their own decisions. They can be encouraged to make their own decisions. They can choose what they want to work on during the day. And at first, I was probably a little concerned about what appeared to be an unstructured environment. The lack of desks, I would say. Not that there's a lack of curriculum, okay, but a lack of, let's say, linear structure to it. And what I found is that children are much more capable, I think, of making their own decisions, of doing their own work, of being responsible and respectful for the process, and that the teachers are there to really guide them from point A to point B, but how they get there, you know, along their journey is going to be different for each one of the children in that room. I guess different parents must take away different things, and different children must take away different things, you know, as well, because it seems like it's a pretty individual experience, what each one takes from it, even though it's a very tight community overall.
Right. Well, I totally, it's going to be an individual experience. And the truth is, in life, each of us is experiencing things individually. I mean, there are three of us in the room right now. There's the cameraman, the interviewer, and myself. And each of us, this is a shared experience, and yet for each of us, it's an individual experience. And that's true in all situations for everyone. And it certainly is true in the classroom for the kids here, you know, at Post Oak. What's amazing is the attempt to standardize the experience, which is what traditional schools do. The model is that all children should be doing the same thing at the same time. All children should be learning the same thing at the same time. And what's amazing is that as you look at the continued work both in cognitive psychology and brain development and educational psychology and the experimental work that's taken place, the ability to be able to look at the brain as the neurons are firing, as well as experimental work over the last, you know, in the years since Montessori began her work, is that so much of what she intuited, I mean, she was an incredible observer. She was a physician and a scientist, not a teacher. And so she approached her work from that point of view and began by observing kids and trying to figure out, well, okay, how do they learn, and what's going to be the best way to approach them, and so on and so forth. And so many of her observations now are being affirmed and proven in ways that she wasn't able to prove. So, for example, you've got Howard Gardner at Harvard, who's written a book about multiple intelligences. He says there's more than one way to be intelligent. So, you know, the classic school intelligence is like the SAT test. You get a math score and a reading score. Well, that's classic school intelligence. There are a number of other intelligences. There's a visual spatial intelligence, for example. I mean, you can be a brilliant artist. You see things visually, you're able to present things visually. You may or may not be able to really talk about the theory behind what you're doing, and you may not be able to calculate the mathematics of it. Or you've got artists who do have a high degree of mathematical intelligence, and so there's a math behind what they do. There's a kinesthetic intelligence. Gifted in movement, dancers and athletes are good examples of that. Well, in what way does school accommodate that?